Hey everybody, welcome to 501 week number 7. Can you believe it? Week 7? So, I have everything memorized for this week and take you on a nice little walk because it's beautiful and it's thematic. Hopefully that wind's not going to be too bad. But here I am at Hillbrook School, and our discussion board posts talks about two things, and they both relate to me walking around at Hillbrook. The first one is looking at, from your first assignment, that social media assignment you did on the Twitters, as my mom calls it, and now I call it, I suppose, on the Twitters. You can steal that. You are asked to share an educator that is making an impact in your thoughts as an educator. So share that person, give us a link to who they are. One of the reasons I'm walking around right here is because it's beautiful and it's better than being in my office. But I am here, I'm walking on this campus because of Twitter. So I was sharing what I was doing. I was teaching second grade in San Gabriel Valley, West Covina, if you know where that is. Teaching West Covina, if you don't know where it is, that's actually irrelevant. And got an email out of the blue that said, "Hey Bill, my name's Don. I used to be the tech director at Hillbrook. I got a job at Apple. I love what you do on Twitter. I think you'd be a great fit for a director of technology." And that was my introduction to this school, right? Like that's truly like why and how I am here. So don't underestimate the power of showing your work. Even if it's just as simple as like, hey, here's what I'm thinking, here's a link to something, here's something I'm really impressed with what somebody else has. Because it can be really powerful, it can be life-changing like it was for me. The second discussion board post is to share a current educational trend. I give you a link to Q Shortlist. It's 5 things that Q thinks, people that wrote for Q. I was one of them. There's no Q, like what Q thinks, as though Bob Q is a person. Trends in education, where we think things are going, where we think things are ceasing to go. And the reason I'm standing right here in this backdrop is because this building right here is going to get knocked down in about 2 weeks. And we are building a makerspace, but we're not just building a makerspace because they're cool and trendy. We're building a makerspace because we have been making for 83 years at our school. Like it's part of our DNA. And so right now I would be in the middle of the makerspace. So if you end up being in a course with me in another year, in about a year this will be done, right? So like that, not a parking lot. This will be a 2-story building. It will be amazing. And we have an art room. The art room I'm going to be passing just right over here in a moment. And we have 3D printers. We have a couple laser cutters. We also have just watercolors. So this is the art room where Ken usually is, and that's going to be a giant 2-story building. So I would definitely consider making and maker spaces as a current trend in education these days. But I think the why is so important. I cannot overstate how important the why is. If you're just like, oh, let's get a 3D printer because that's the latest trend, no. If you're like, we want more student choice and being able to individualize our program by having 3D printers, that's a good choice, right? Do you see these little village houses here? Right? These were built in World War II because our community wanted to come together. Our students decided the world should come together and get along more. And so they went down to the bank, got a loan, and built these village houses. Like a powerful way to have hands-on learning. And then 3 years ago, a handful of 6th grade girls got together and thought, like, why has it been 30, 40, 50 years since we've done that? So they designed this history house. In a year, they designed the roof and built it. They framed it, right? They looked at like the Japanese-inspired architecture of the asymmetrical roof, framed out the whole thing, and it took 3 years, but we took a lot of the funding we have for electives, put it into this house, and almost exclusively this group of about 8 different middle school girls built this house, right? Like, how amazing is that? So when I look at our school's why for building a maker space that's back over here, it is not because it's just a trend. It's truly, who we are. So that's going to be your second discussion board post. And the last thing that I want to give you a heads up on, that's all that's due this coming week, but you should be working pretty hard, hitting the ground, definitely running at this point with your group, looking at the LA Unified iPad reboot. The Google Doc that has the explanation gives you in just a handful of pages. Here's the background of it. Do some research here. You know, kind of parts 1, 2, and 3. You guys are big kids, so I'm not going to go through every step, but make sure to read every step. Make sure that you understand kind of what's expected, and then you're going to build out a presentation using Google Slides, and you're going to be presenting, recording what you have to share for week 8. It's going to be pretty cool. So it's this week and next week. There's no big assignment due this week because that iPad reboot is due in 1 more week, and that's a big project. So reach out if you have any questions, and happy week 7.